there are technically three terms. There's a term right here, a term right here, and a term right here. This is made up an equation made up of three terms. And of those three terms, the common denominator is 28x. There's also a letter involved as well. So you want to make a fraction with 28x in the bottom for each of those three terms. I'll make them right now. So 28x, and then equals, in this case, negative, and then 28x. Now the first fraction, you're going to notice, it needs to get multiplied by 4 and x to the first term. So you multiply 4x to the top here, and 4x to the bottom, and you'll notice it makes 28x for the bottom. And what you do to the bottom, you need to also do the top. So that makes this then turn into 4x squared. On the second equation, you simply could just multiply it by 1, and 1 times 108 is still going to just stay 108. Or there's still technically a minus and then 108. And then the last part right here, it already has a 28 that we were looking for, but we need to have a 28x. So you need to multiply this by x as well. So then in the top, you'll then have 24x. Now, as you get all the denominators the same, you can now cross out the common denominator. What you have left is the equation you're trying to solve. So now I'm going to have 4x squared minus 108 equals negative 24x. Now this is a quadratic. Quadratics can be solved using the quadratic formula. They can also be solved by factoring, and you can also solve it several other ways. But the easiest way would be, I would suggest, quadratic formula if you happen to have that in your calculator. Otherwise, we'll solve it by factoring in just a moment. The next thing you want to do is you're going to try to get all the terms equal to one side, or on one side equal to 0. So that means I'm going to take the 24x and add 24x to both sides. So 24x goes this, 24x goes that side. Then from here, you're going to then have a new equation that reads like this: 4x squared plus 24x minus 108 equals 0. Now, if you happen to have the quadratic formula, you can simply just recognize the three letters A, B, and C. A is going to equal 4, B is going to equal 24, and C is going to equal negative 108. If you are not able to use the quadratic formula, and you're going to try to solve this by hand instead, you would factor this. Ask yourself this: what number can go into 4, 24, and 108? And then in this case right here, you're going to say, well, 4 goes into 4 once, so I'll just have 1x squared, and then I'll have 4 goes into 24 6 times, and then minus, now 4 goes into 108 27 times, and it still equals 0. If I want to factor this, I could do a box and a diamond, but eventually when you do this box and diamond type approach, where you put the first term in the box, the last term in the box, negative 27, and then you multiply the diagonal, that gives you negative 27x squared, and you put your 6x, that's the middle term, in the bottom. You try to figure out what are the two numbers that can multiply to give you negative 27, then add up to positive 6. Well, that would be 9x and negative 3x. Those multiply to give you negative 27, they also add to 6. Then I bring those two terms over to the box, negative 3x and 9x, and then my new factored form is going to be 4 parentheses, and then I'm going to have a pair of parentheses for each of the dimensions of the box. Now the box is going to have x minus 3 and x plus 9 on the side of it. So this goes to x minus 3 and x plus 9. Don't forget this all still equals 0. Now you have to ask yourself, what do you put in for x to make each parenthesis go to 0? Well, that would have to then be x equals positive 3 and x equals negative 9. Now on your Canvas question, you're going to then put in the box answer, it'll be just 3, negative 9 as your two answers of what x equals. Hopefully this video helps, and try that on yours. Either factor it or use the quadratic formula, just putting that in for A, B, and C, and you'll get the answer also that leads you towards the answers of 3 and negative 9. Good luck.